For that initial phone call, that's an amazing scene for me.
Hello, this is Ron Stallworth calling.
Who am I speaking with?
This is David Duke. What can I do you for?
You read it, we prepared for it, but then seeing the final product, seeing how it came to life.
I'm happy to be talking to a true white American.
God bless white America.
I didn't even recognize myself. I was like, yo, who is that? It was a great moment. I love that scene.
Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to You Know That Scene. This is an original series where we are going to discuss iconic scenes in seminal cinema. I'm so glad I get to moderate this discussion today because it's obviously near and dear to my heart. Today, we're going to be discussing African American films and filmmakers. Right now is such a great time because we have this film that has just been released in cinemas, Spike Lee's BlacKkKlansman. Spike Lee sort of kicked off the renaissance for African American filmmakers because the first film most of us are going to think of if we're going to talk about African American films is Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, Spike Lee was definitely first in terms of modern black cinema.
He just always goes for it. And you know that scene where I'm talking about. When Mookie says, I just want you to spew every racial epithet you can think of.
Dago Wab, Guinea, garlic bread, pizza slinging, spaghetti bending, Victimone, Perry Como, Luciano Pavarotti, solo meal, non-singer motherfucker.
It's a moment in cinema that once you've seen it, you'll think about it for forever and ever.
It's shot so aggressively as well. Like they just zoom in and you're just so uncomfortable watching it.
Fried chicken and biscuit eating monkey.
I think it's important to include things that are uncomfortable in a movie like this because like me growing up Asian American, like I was born in Taiwan and I moved to America. So those racial slurs, I've definitely had those thrown at me at a young age. And when you see it in the movie, everybody can kind of experience, oh, that's really aggressive coming at me.
You know, you bring up a great point with the Asian American parallels because there is that part in Do the Right Thing with the Korean shop owner.
20 C energizers.
D, not C, D.
C energizers.
D, motherfucker. D, learn to speak English first, all right? D.
And that's a real environment within the African American community because there are a lot of folks that come to the community as shopkeepers. I mean, obviously, the pizza shop, you have these Italian Americans who work in the hood and they sell their pizzas, but it's an entirely predominantly African American community, and there's that tension. And the one thing we can say about Spike Lee is he doesn't shy away from that tension.
Subtlety is not his strong point.
I think that makes 5 of us.
No, I mean, but that's what I go to Spike Lee movies for, to be provoked.
We start with something like Do the Right Thing when we talk about modern African American cinema, and then we move to Straight Outta Compton, where this was one of the highest grossing films of 2015, and it did come straight out of nowhere. You know that scene where Ice Cube is asked by the journalist.
Yeah, but your songs, they glamorize the lifestyle of gangs, guns, drugs.
Our art is a reflection of our reality. What you see when you go outside your door?
I know what I see.
And it ain't glamorous.
Instead of looking at glorified or fantasized versions of what the African American experience was, they really got down and deep into what it actually is.
That was the whole thing about the film, is that they were on the cusp of something that had never been done. And the rest of the country took notice.
The character that's unseen, but a very vital point to the whole narrative is police and police accountability, and in this case, a lot of times, police brutality.
Yeah, there's that scene where Ice Cube is just walking across the street from his cousin's house, and then the police rolls up.
Or I promise you, I will ruin your night. Man, you ain't gotta talk to my moms like that. Shut the up.
He was at home, he was in his neighborhood, and they essentially made him feel like an outsider. Anyone, if you've walked into a room and you've had someone make you feel other, you know that feeling.
You see it back then, it happens, and people think, oh, time has changed. It hasn't.
Some people would look at it and say this is almost fiction. This is not reality, but it is. If we want to talk about a film that definitely keyed in on heightened fiction, we could go to Jordan Peele's Get Out. 'Cause first of all, I will admit, I was weird about anybody making me tea for a while. Because that whole scene had me very much, I'm coffee with no spoon.
Yes.
So you know that scene when he's being basically paraded around this barbecue.
A prop.
No idea what he is in for or why he is there, but clearly everybody's latching onto him because he's black.
Is it true? Is it better?
Wow.
Every time somebody came up to Daniel Kaluuya and said something really inappropriate, Allison Williams gets pissed off. But the first time you see it, you think that she's just getting annoyed because they were being inappropriate. She was really getting annoyed because she was like, don't blow my cover, dude.
You're gonna tip him off. Because she was about to go kill him in the weird brain switch house.
She was the one person this whole time like that you thought she's standing up for him, and you realize that she is may be the most evil?
False allies. That's what Rose represents, is false allies for marginal communities. The sunken place is a place of lack of access and lack of representation for marginal communities where they're just existing in this suffering.
You know that scene where it's the famous no, no, no scene?
No, 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 no.
In that specific scene, you realize what a horrific situation this is.
The one tier. The one tier is the thing, because the one tier is the Black woman, because she's like, I know what's about to happen to you, and it's the white voice personality coming through. I mean, the levels of Jordan Peele's filmmaking that you can peel back on that movie. The best part about this movie is what we're doing right now. As soon as you watched it, you wanted to go talk to everyone about it, and I feel like the conversations is what made the movie so much more. Turn the page to BlacKkKlansman, which is our next film that I can't wait for us to talk about.
This is vintage Spike Lee. It is provocative, it is profound. It takes place in the early 70s, but it is so relevant to today.
How many times, I mean, me alone, like, I had to remind myself, oh, this was true? How did that happen?
There's a great scene where John David Washington calls up the Ku Klux Klan one day and put on his white voice, which is this aspect of African-American modern culture where we code switch. There's a language that you use back home you don't necessarily do when you're working a corporate job 9 to 5.
Hello, this is Ron Stallworth calling. Who am I speaking with?
This is David Duke. What can I do you for?
Well, since you asked, I hate blacks. I hate Jews, Mexicans and Irish, Italians and Chinese. But my mouth to God's ears, I really hate those black rats. And anyone else, really, that doesn't have pure white Aryan blood running through their veins.
In that scene, he uses that to essentially infiltrate the KKK.
This is why I think Spike Lee is such a celebrated director. He does what a lot of other filmmakers can't do, is to deliver the message without being preachy.
Because you're experiencing it through the character's eyes. It's not being shoved down your throat.
I think over the past few years, the one thing that we can definitely say is that Hollywood is changing slowly, and maybe not at the pace that we would all like to see, but it is changing, it's diversifying, and audiences are responding to it.
There is an increased awareness that, you know, maybe if there's more diversity from the storytellers, that we will get to see different stories.
Now, the folks that are making the movies are allowed to have agency over their own stories. I mean, Jordan Peele produced this from his production company, and I really think that's kind of the tipping point, and I'm just so excited for, like, the next 25 years of cinema and hopefully where it goes. Thank you guys so much. This was such a fun conversation. I loved taking a dive into African-American filmmakers, but this is just the first topic. We're gonna continue this series along various topics, various filmmakers, various iconic scenes. Really hope you guys will join us.